I'm back.
And I like to just get those out of the way first because I primarily like to snap right on top of left because I'm a righty. What's up guys, my name's Carolina. I am the owner of Spooky Stitches and the sole member, worker bee, what have you, whatever you want to call it. On this channel, I like to separate what I love to do into a couple different segments. Those being weekly makes, sewing versus crochet, all items bookish, all things Halloween, market makes, and then lastly, my favorite, per month baking. That will roll during the months of September, October, November, December, and jump to recipe for the remainder of the year. So stick around. I hope you'll like what I have in store for you. There's my ruler. So I will say this right away. The setup is probably what takes the longest. By the way, it is, hey everybody. It is Tuesday, August 26th. I'm gonna get to cutting, and right now we're working on a couple of sleeves using the Harry Potter fabric. Still pretty stiffly. I'm pretty sure I came down with a cold, but that was Monday a week ago, so I don't know anymore if it's the cold or if it's allergies. I've been taking allergy medicine too. So I didn't want to touch people's fabric. I didn't know about this order yet. This one just came through over the weekend, but we've got some fabric that was ordered from Tokyo, and my girl Mel doesn't even know what I have in store for her for the inside, but Shazam. So that one's going to be cut next, and that one I had told her I was going to start working on when we came back, but again, I've been keeping it in the plastic. If I have any germs, I don't pass them on through the fabric. I'm going to knock this one out, and then I'm going to open up this fabric, and we are going to sew. That's right, we're sewing this week. We're going to sew when he's napping, but enough of me blabbing, unless you like hearing me talk. I definitely like talking. So let's get to work. So here's my template for size medium. This one's unchanged. I am going to be changing these sizes here shortly. I'll be announcing it rather, but I'm starting to cut different sizes for the other sleeves, and that is the small and the large. And no, guys, I'm not trying to jip anybody, and I'm not trying to jip anybody by making the product smaller. I'm taking the same amount of money. Prices might have to change too, depending on how much I'm going to be losing on fabric purchases going forward because of the loss of Joann's, but I haven't gotten to that part yet. So originally my cutting template used to be 7.5 wide and 8.5 long. I'm not changing the length, but I am going to change the width. So I only took a 1/2 inch off just to be safe. I could probably take more off, but notice when you cut a piece of fabric that you're going to sew, seam allowance, depending on how much you want to sew in. So you never sew like at the edge, otherwise it's not gonna hold the fabric, it'll just tear apart. So your seam allowance is going to take away even more from the dimensions that you've cut your fabric as. So that's what I mean when I post the sizes for the book sleeves on my website. I put approximate dimensions. So For the smalls, once I update that, you're not going to see the approximate dimensions listed as 7 by 8.5. What it'll probably end up saying is 6.5 by 8, because we're going to take out at least a quarter on each side for the width and then on the top and bottom. But the plan is not to take away from the consumer. I've been doing these sleeves now for a year. So let me see if this is the previous. Okay, yeah. I'm going to have 2 pieces of foam back to back. These are both sizes small. We have the old size small in the back, which is a little bit wider by about a 1/2 inch. Okay. And then notice it's still just as tall. So the length hasn't changed. The width is just accommodating for the smaller items that are going into said sleeve. Example being, so one of my very popular Goosebumps sleeves, which a lot of them were started out with buttons. And then I went away with the buttons because of just how long how much longer it takes me to make these sleeves, adding a button to each one. I don't know that everybody would need a button, and I have plans, different plans for size smalls that do include closing it off. That's your big hint, without using a button. But there is a way to close it off so that your Kindle doesn't fall out. But books, I don't feel need that unless you want it. So this is the old small, so it's a little bit wider. Look at how much extra we have right there. Okay, and what does that mean? I mean, some of you, obviously, when it comes to clothing, it's better to size up if you're unsure. I usually say the same thing when it comes to the book sleeves. However, if you put something like a Kindle in here, you don't want this thing flopping around, right? Because it does move around quite a bit in there. So that's why I've decided that the mediums, which is, here's a medium, and actually this is the print that I'm working on right now. The medium can hold anything a small can hold. So for books, if you're worried that you have books that aren't going to fit a size small, and I know that Jess from Pumpkin and Gray used a small to show off a book fitting in the sleeve, and that's perfectly fine. I don't care. I mean, it's your sleeve. So if you want a book to stick out, that's totally up to you. Use whatever size you want. As long as it fits this way and slides in, we're Gucci. There is, on some sleeves, like I try and make it to where it's in there and not a lot sticks out, because the point being is you don't want to damage your corners of the book for paperback specifically. But even a smaller book like this, we've got room on the sides. And less is more. And with a book, like if a book, if a book falls out, no big deal. But you don't want to do that with like electronics. So that's why I wanted to make it smaller, tighter, to hold those things easier. But this is the one that I always advertise as being the book that fits a small. Another example is, not that I expect everybody to know these books, but when I label these smaller books, what I mean is like the smaller mass print romance, sci-fi, and mystery books. So this is another one. They are the same in size. There are a couple of standard sizes for books. I know not all books fit into those categories, but if they do, if you're an avid reader, you know what I mean. These will fit. And look at that. There's plenty of room to trim that and make it smaller. That would be a nicer fit, in my opinion. So that's why I want to take away from the small for good reason and give that to the size large. Because what I've noticed in a size large is that I've had some custom orders come through that have asked for bigger size sleeves, and that's to accommodate notebooks. When I first advertised these sleeves, I had always envisioned having larges encompass not only books that are larger in size, not only iPads, but I also wanted to include like journals and notebooks. Well, joke's on me, because the notebook will not slip in here very easily. Another nice design. Look at that gold. This fabric makes me feel things. Love this fabric. Okay, sorry. Let me get a notebook now and show you how the notebook fits. So if we're talking notebook, and why would you want to put a notebook in the sleeve? If you're a crafter like me, go to shows, it would be nice to have something to hold, you know, your notebook, especially if you've got things that are just like stuck in there. Anybody else notorious for putting things in their notebooks that could easily slip out if one did this? I am. So if we try and put a notebook in here, this one is so thin that it might slip in there. It's not going to be nice, and I won't keep going because this is metal and I don't want to damage the sleeve on the inside, but it just barely makes it in there. You could squish it in there, but I don't recommend that. Okay. I'm trying to develop a really heavily bookish community here, so that's why it started with the sleeves. So sleeves, bookmarks. I'm sure there's going to be something else I come up with, but for now, as I've said before, these are my passion project. So all three of these are available on my website, Little Self Promo. So feel free to go online. If you don't see what you need on there, shoot me a little email or find me on Instagram and send me a DM. This book is too damn pretty to just throw around in a bag. Okay, so for that reason, I also recommend the sleeve. If you're going to travel with stuff like this that you want to keep around and keep pretty, use a sleeve. So I pop that in there. Ooh. And again, I try to show you guys the max for the, and this one I have to, you ever put on a pair of jeans and you are like, you're a size 10, and literally I'm talking about myself right now. You're a size 10, you're like, I will not put on a size 12 pants. I've already had going into a 12 before, but we're back to 10s. And you got to do the little, that's what I do with the sleeves to get them in. And look at that. It's not that it's too tight. It's not like that notebook that I showed you before, but it fits. Fits. It doesn't stick out. You can still easily use the pockets that are in front. Every single sleeve I have has 2 pockets in front. Since I'm using my phone, I can't show you, but just trust me. Look at the size here. Usually that's a phone size. And then whether you want to just slip in like one of the ears or things of your glasses in here. If you're just setting something down, you want to know where your glasses are, you don't want to lose them, you can slide your little, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's easier to show you than to. So you could do that while it's laying down. Don't throw this in your purse. I have an idea for a future project related to glasses. Hint, hint. But you could do that, or you could obviously put pens in there. Or if you carry a little sword, you could put your little sword in there too. So, man, it got quiet in the bedroom. I had to see what was going on, but I think I would know if the show was paused. He would come out here when it asks, like, are you still watching? Usually that's my cue to turn it off because that's been too long for him. So there's your large. And then to show you, okay, so see what I mean? Like, it is like, this is the max. I wouldn't put anything bigger because I don't want, it'll happen sometimes, but I don't want this, okay? There's nothing wrong with this happening. Everything's closed, real nice inside. So there is your large. Now, I'm going to keep the large out and I'm going to show you what a medium means versus a large. So something I was trying to keep on brand and theme with the Dracula book. So Dracul is supposedly the story prior to Dracula. So if anybody's looking for a good read this season, let's read it together because I plan on reading these this year. This one is usually what I advertise for my size mediums, which going back is this guy. You can see on the outside that it's going to fit, but I'll show you on the inside. Just so you can see that I don't jam them in there and then take a picture of it to be like, look, it fits. Look, it's sliding in on its own. If I do a couple more, should not take that much effort. But see how it nicely fills out the sleeve? This is what I like for these sleeves. Like, it should kind of fill it out. It shouldn't be too loosey-goosey in there. It won't hurt it if it's a book, but definitely not if you're using an electronic device. Okay, so same book. You can have a large for a smaller item in there, okay? but why? Okay, save yourself some money. And if what you normally buy is in this size range, I'm talking to all my Frida readers out there. If you're a hater, sorry, but the books are very catchy, edge of your seat, literally. Yes, it sounds like the same story over and over with different characters and plots, but guess what? A lot of us still like them, so let us be. So anyways, I bring this out because this is going to be an example you can relate to as opposed to Dracul. They're both similar in height. This one is a little more standard and it's smaller. See what I mean? I'm trying to give you the max that you can fit in there. So if you've got stuff like The Boyfriend by Frida or any of the Housemaids, or a lot of the mass-produced standard size books are going to be this size here. That's what I'm trying to show you, is that these will fit, because if this fits, this will fit. So if we slide Frida in here, we've got a little bit of wiggle room here, nothing crazy, but it fits nicely, and you're ready to go. Go to the beach before the temperatures drop too much. Come back from the library, slide your cute little book in there. When somebody asks you where you got it, tell them Spooky Stitches sent you, and send them to the website if they want their own. More self-promo. Gotta love it. So, large, medium, and small. Of course, these are the old sizes. So large, medium, small. When I recreate these, remember, smalls are going to be smaller with, I'll just give you the surprise now. They'll have a zipper. I just got to figure that part out. So those are going to be closed by a zipper, and they'll be smaller. Mediums are going to be the same. They're going to remain the same, okay? No changes to the medium. And the larges, they're going to be the same. They're not going to have anything here unless you custom order it, but they will be wider to accommodate for those notebooks. And pricing may go up by like $1, maybe. But anything that I do to change stuff, I will announce. What I'm going to do before I sew is I'm also going to take these foam pieces, which I've got a roll of foam like this. Excuse this long tail here, but I was cutting out some smalls here, but I roll out my foam, and I'm still using the same rotary cutter, and this is where I use my acrylic ruler. But I like to lay this down. I'm not going to cut one right now because I have plenty of things underneath it. I've got these two pieces. You know what? If you're like me, you learn from examples. So let's cut this. Let's cut it. Let me make sure I'm not cutting through something else for the sake of education. And then I'll have these cut and ready to go anyway. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to cut these pieces out. And usually when I'm prepping like a larger amount, I just cut, this is where this tail comes in. I just cut this long of a piece, okay? And then I use this as my template for smalls. And just place, cut around, place, cut around, place, cut around. And I do try and stick to doing like all of my smalls back to back together, because with this excess foam, the stuff is not cheap, especially now that Joann's is gone. I want to do something with this, which I've already alluded to earlier. You guys still see me okay? I already alluded to when I brought up making something in the future for glasses. Anybody want to take any guesses? Ta-da! Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. Then I cut them down to individual faces. So now that I have my face, the type of foam that I use for these sleeves is a one-sided fusible flex foam. I just get a bunch of these, stack them on one side, and then I place them and do the 10 seconds for the allotted fabric temperature. I think we have it set to 340 right now, and that works for this. I think I looked it up for cotton. it was around 340. Hasn't burned anything, so it's okay, and it makes it stick.
Where's his toothbrush?
It's in there.
Is it the new one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoop.
Okay, well I didn't know we were giving him
Ah!
the new one.
No, it's not. It's not the electronic one.
Oh, the green one.
Yeah.
This one.
This is safe.
We have to brush teeth, buddy. Come on. Come on.
We're having a let me tell you something moment. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Babe, if I had this in my hand, this hurts.
We'd have found out. Who cut those?
You know what? It's gonna be fine.
You need-
Are continuing where we left off last night. It's Wednesday today. The little nug is fast asleep. I am working on flipping all of the bibs that were serged last night so that I can top sew them today. And I'm also going to be finishing up all of these sleeves that I had as custom orders. And so that's on the docket. Pretty simple process. I just kind of, for a lack of a better explanation, stick my finger in the hole. Stop. Push out, grab the corner, and push out. And we'll do that with the whole bib. Of course, my example is going to be this you, but I do my best to push out without ripping the seams I have in here already. The last one I did was so smooth. Wish I had filmed that. I'm going to dig up my little mini microphone that I've got, and the audio should be much better going forward. I realize because of the placement of our vents, our AC is blowing and on all the time. Oh, okay, so I didn't explain. I just used my kid's drumstick from one of his old toys, and I used that to push out all the edges. So that's what we're looking like right now. So see, not that bad. It might have been a rough cut, but once it's serged and the ends are trimmed up real nice, it doesn't look that bad. We have an opening right here. It's a long tail that I could either snip it off or hide it. And I've got these tags that I make so many bibs, I can't put my usual handmade with love tags that I order from an Etsy seller. I'll link her shop down below if you guys are interested in tags like that. They're great, very reliable. But I just picked these up on Amazon, and they just say handmade with love. So it's a little touch. It has nothing to do or says nothing about my business, but again, with the amount of bibs that I go through and make, it is not a good financial decision to be using my Etsy tags. But I'm just going to plop that on there, and I haven't done it to the previous ones, but for educational purposes. All right, and then I'm going to plop this in there. Again, I'm going to cut this little end off. I can always leave a little bit of it, push that in. So then I'll start with the top sewing in this general area, and then I'll go all the way around, which you will see me do here in a moment. I've already got white and black loaded, so my bobbin, which is going to be the stitches on the bottom of the project, is black, and the top is white, but it's black because I'm almost out of yarn. Got my table. This gives you a little bit more room to work with. Foot pedal is ready to go on the ground. And we readjust and make sure that I'm happy with how this is sitting. Okay. Do another clip. And I think we're ready to rock and roll here. And I don't mind zooming in and showing you guys. So let's see. Can't zoom in this mode. Okay, you just have to enjoy my face. My profile right here. Enjoy that Polish nose. Okay. Don't forget to back stitch. So, couple stitches in, couple stitches back. There it is. So the next step in the bib process, once I get through all the bibs, is to press them. So, yeah, it's obviously not meant for anyone, but who knows? On craft night, the struggle is real. So we're going to press all these when I'm done, and then The last thing is to place the snaps in, and that's it. That's a nice little reversible, might I add, 2 for 1 reversible bibs. But I'm gonna keep going and zipping along, and we'll check in with you later. Okay? We'll get together when I'm ready to fly. Bye. So I just pressed the bib so that it's nice and flat. And honestly, it goes through like multiple pressing rounds, or ironing rounds. I do not iron the fabric prior to cutting it, which is another rule of thumb, is that you always want to iron. Some people even recommend washing your fabric, pre-washing it before you cut it. I'm not privileged enough to have that much time to be able to do all those extra steps, so I have to bypass certain steps. Thankfully, it doesn't change the outcome of these projects. Maybe if it was a different project, like a wearable, that might be a different story. But for the bibs and the sleeves, I could get away with pressing the items either prior to sewing or after sewing, or both. So I have to press things prior to sewing when I'm working with the sleeves, but when it comes to the bibs, it's just after everything's said and done. And the plan is, I mean, I'm always going to be making stuff, but I'm really trying to push and crank stuff out now while the weather is still warmer. I mean, it's nicer this week, but the weather is still warmer. And 2, I have events coming up, so I want to get all this stuff done for these events. And I'm not one of those gals that sells out. Would it be nice to sell out at an event? Yes, but what's the problem with selling out? And then you have no inventory. You gotta start all over. And I can't really afford that given the time constraints that I'm under. But the good news is that I've gotten my pressing done. I'm gonna press this one last pocket, and then I'll get to sewing later, because we gotta do other things here. We gotta have some watermelon, clean up the house, make some soup, live our lives outside of Spooky Stitches. But I will be right back and working on it in the evening, so I'll check in with you later. Hey, just kidding. So I do have to do a couple other things here on camera to show you from start to finish what we're getting done with these bibs. So I have pressed the bibs and I'm getting ready to pop the snaps in. So what I like to do before I even get started is I grab all of my, I think these are cam snaps. I don't know, they're size T5. If you guys are interested in purchasing and making your own, that's what I use, and I just order these directly off Amazon. So what I'm gonna do is, we've got 2 of these sharper pieces, and I like to just get those out of the way first, because I primarily like to snap right on top of left because I'm a righty. I went ahead and went with this cream color for the front of the bib, and then this nice mustard yellow for the back. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna need to make sure that I put the right ends in, male, female. Doesn't matter which piece you choose. Let's call this the female. I don't know, because the other one protrudes out a little bit more, so sorry to be gross if that's gross to you, but it's natural, right? So whichever one you choose, even if it's the other one, that's fine. Put a little bit of pressure down and use this little plier tool that comes with most of these sets. Since I already own one, I was trying to find the cam snaps without the tool, just the cam snaps themselves, because I don't need to collect tools. If it breaks, then I'll get another one with the tool. For the time being, I found the other end, and I probably should have shown this on camera. So see, the one that I just plugged in to one side is this one. See, I don't want them to slide off. There may not be a nicer way of showing you without them sliding around. So that's the one I just put in. Now I've got to put in the opposing end so that it will snap together and, you know, keep the bib closed when you want it to be closed. So same thing, and I'm doing it in opposite colors because what I want it to be is I want both snaps on one side to be one color and vice versa for the other side, coordinating with the type of fabric. Now, don't put too much pressure on this because I noticed one time I was market prepping the night, or I should say the morning before market, because I usually stay up very late the morning before market. But I put way too much pressure because I was trying to really like get them done, and they do crack. So there is kind of like a fine area where you don't want to put too much pressure, but you also need to put some pressure on there to get it to stay. So this is what the bib looks like with it snapped. And again, they're reversible, so you could have it on either side. You could have more of a Thanksgiving feel or more of like a cozy fall sweater weather feel. And then since these are new snaps, sometimes you'll find, because I like to test them out before I put them out for sale. This is my, what would you call that? I forget my English every now and then. So I like to pop them open and close, just make sure that the snaps fit and they work. Because if they don't, that's not something I want to sell. So that is now officially the final bib. So this one's ready for sale. I'm going to also list a link to my website. I know I already self-promoted the book sleeves, but why not self-promo some of these cute bibs? And I am running a promotion. I always run a promotion, both in person and online, that if you purchase 2 bibs, you basically get $2 off the bibs together. So you get $1 off each. Instead of paying $6, you get 2 for the price of 10. So get your bibs. But yeah, so I'm going to go through and do that to all these, and I'll save you and myself the extra footage because it's just a repeated process over and over. So enjoy our magnets, since I decided to put you on this side now. But, and you know, I'm in business when my clip is in, so I'm trying to get stuff done now. So that'll be it, and I will check back in later.
Yeah. Hear what I'm asking, mirror the passion, let's keep it smooth. It's not a fad, we're breaking patterns, it's all the news. Oh, we can taste the sky, you and me gon' fly high, 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 high. Tap into the magic, we keep it in fashion, you got this static. Give it to the tension, you got my attention, it's just how we do. You in the pocket, there's nobody rocking the way that you do. No need to knock, you can come in and lock it, let's get to the groove. And now we're feeling brand new, keep it flowing like the ocean. Every emotion takes me high, high, high. You can taste the sky, you and me gon' fly high, 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 high. Tap into the magic, we keep it in fashion, you got this static. Attention, you got my attention, it's just how we do. I'll be there for you, you're my sensation. I'll be there for you till the very end. Just call on me and I will take you there. I got you, yeah, I got you. That's how we do. That's how we do. That's how we do, how we do.
You guys, I am so happy with how these came out. Wham. I love the fact that it's 2 different colors. And I'm not just saying that to, you know, because I didn't have enough fabric. I'm glad that I didn't have enough fabric, otherwise I would not have done this. Yeah, it's almost dinner time. Soup's on the stove. It's cooling, but I just wanted to get these on camera while we still have some sunlight, because these are gonna get packaged. I don't know if I could do this lefty. I don't know how you did this, Mel, when you made those beautiful reels. Okay, bam. How's that? So cool. Freshly pressed, and I slid that notebook in there and it went in, so it passed that test. Mel, I hope your kiddos love these. I really do. Like I said, if there was more fabric, I would have made another one for my sister. I think she would have gone nuts over this. We also completed 3 new bibs. Well, just a black background for these 2 guys, but this one's got that nice plaid background. And then also finished up the 2 Potter sleeves with the zipper. I kind of got confused and didn't realize where I was placing the zipper the first time, so it still zips. It's just, again, I'm a righty, so I would have liked it on the left side, so I did this one second, and I made sure to put it on the left side. So that zips and unzips real nicely, and then if you see on the inside, again, now I'm doing it with my dominant hand, but still, look at that. Zips and unzips with one hand, and there's your inside. Problem is, I think the zipper's too short for a size small. Size medium, as far as the measurements go, looks like they'll work for the item my friend was planning on placing in there. I think it was an iPad mini, but my Kindle could not slide in this. I think I'm gonna have to mail a small that doesn't have a zipper, just pro bono, and we'll have to get better at these zippers. I let her know these were going to be the prototypes, so she is aware of that, but still, I don't want to leave somebody with not a perfect product, so that's why they get extra. That'll do it for tonight. Sewing is done. Now I'm going to get ready to pack, but that's after I feed my boys and myself. Soup is cooling down. Chicken and wild rice, highly recommend. I'll drop a link in the bottom for that too if anybody's interested. Enjoy. Bye. Once I've got all my pieces, then I can go ahead and, once I have my bigger pieces, does it make you nervous when I wave this around like that? Hey, where's my other medium? Does anybody see my other medium? Hello?
It's like, no.
Yeah, watch your head.
Those are the moments that we want to capture.
Right. Hey! So while I got this, I pleaded with my book daddy to get me the set of these books, which I didn't realize there's more coming, but that's because I only read the first one. I'm savoring. I'm waiting to read the second and third book. So now that I know that there's more books, I'm excited to read the second one, and I can read it any day, although I have a lot of work to do before I can do that. Bye!